The WNBA playoffs are here and Caitlin Clark is playing on the biggest stage of women's basketball. Right after it was announced, she finished 4th in MVP voting in her rookie season. This was the Fever's first playoff game since 2016, up against the stacked Connecticut Sun, who have 5 players scoring in double digits. This series is going to be a war, and the first battle was crazy and very controversial too. First play of the playoffs in nearly a decade and Indiana get their first bucket. Watch Mitchell on the Iverson cut come across Boston's screen, take 2 dribbles and pull up in the mid-range. And just 90 seconds into the game we have the moment that changed the game. Pay attention to what happens to Caitlin Clark. After she releases the ball to Boston, she's hit in the face by Carrington, she falls to the floor immediately and stays down. No foul is called, the refs say play on and the Suns score. When you look at the replays, you can see Clark is poked in the eye by a long fingernail from Carrington, who follows through. But at what point is it clear that she's being targeted by opposing teams? Everybody knows the Connecticut Sun are dirty. Alyssa Thomas is known for cheap shots, and when the Fever played the Sun earlier in the season, Carrington did this. This is the WNBA playoffs and barely a minute into the game and Clark is getting this kind of treatment. It's never Erica Wheeler or Katie Lou. It's always Caitlin. The same way it was always Michael Jordan, who was subject to the Jordan rules for years until the league did something about it. And until the WNBA does something about this to protect Caitlin on the floor, this is going to continue to happen. 17% of all flagrant fouls in the WNBA this past season were on Caitlin Clark. You cannot tell me that's coincidence. Now in the post-game interview, Clark said that this didn't affect her performance at all.
I don't think it affected me. Honestly, I felt like I got good shots. They just didn't go down.
But your eyesight is pretty important when playing basketball, especially when you're shooting from 30 feet. She was obviously in a lot of pain, and who knows how this might have affected her and her performance. I tell you one thing though, Caitlin did get Carrington back. Anyway, let me know down below in the comments, was this deliberate or accidental? Very poor transition defense here from the Fever. Clark probably still half blind from the eye poke, doesn't track Bonner running the floor, Lexi tries to help, Bonner gets to her spot in the mid-range, she hits it, and then again, the other way, Indiana get 2 on the board, Aaliyah Boston deep seal is too physical for Bonner down low, gets as close to the hoop as possible and just dumps it in. But Bonner answers right back. Lexi Hall gives her too much room in the corner and she connects on her second triple. That's why she's top 5 all time in playoff points scored. The Fever continue to run their offense through Aaliyah Boston. Watch here, Kelsey Mitchell behind the back bounce pass to Aaliyah, who hits her signature set shot from the elbow, and then again identical circumstances, Mitchell floats it up over the double team, Boston catches, similar position, sets up and scores again from close range. She's up to 6 points early on. They say Alyssa Thomas is the Russell Westbrook of the WNBA because she does a bit of everything. Watch in transition here, Thomas takes it coast to coast, she's a freight train in transition, sends Lexi Hall the wrong way with the Euro step, gets to the goal and scores the layup. Here, Clark finds Nalissa Smith down low, she's too strong on the layup, and watch the poor transition defense from Caitlin Clark. Instead of tracking Bonner, she's ball watching, with no real idea of what she's supposed to do defensively. Carrington sees this and finds Bonner with a beautiful pass over the defense, and that's just too easy. Offensively here, Clark does well to hold off the physical defense from Bonner down low, kicks out to Mitchell in the corner, she sidesteps and hits a massive 3 to tie it up. That's exactly what the Fever needed, and check out the physicality here from Clark. In transition, she muscles her way past Maybury, Clark quickly reverses it in off the glass through contact, but no foul is called. First points of the game for Caitlin Clark. The Fever need to be better here boxing out. Carrington on the drive overcooks the layup, the rebound is tipped Thomas's way, who banks it in off the backboard for the Sun. And the same here again, this time Thomas is too strong off the glass, but no box out from the Fever allows Nelson Ododo to get the board and put it back in. Indiana end the quarter with a bit of a boost, Mitchell pick and pop with Dantas, she draws the blitz towards the baseline, Dantas pops out to the perimeter, wide open catch and shoot shot, and she sinks it to make it a 1-point game. But the Suns get the last points of the quarter right here. Poor defensive communication from the Fever again in the pick and roll, Thomas is left wide open at the foul line and just floats it in with one hand. The Sun lead 23 to 20, Aaliyah Boston doing a lot of the heavy lifting for Indiana, she's got 6 points and 3 blocks in the first. Clark quiet, just the one field goal, understandably so with the eye injury, but most importantly, the Fever need to switch on defensively. This is playoff basketball, your mistakes will be punished, and if they want a chance to win this series against this team, they need to step it up because that first quarter just wasn't good enough. But defensively, Indiana still haven't made adjustments. Bonner here easily draws two defenders, leaving Alyssa Thomas from the elbow wide open, and she shows that even the ugliest shots can be effective. And then again, Sun run the dribble handoff with Mayberry and Thomas, the Fever running drop coverage, so Thomas pops out to the foul line and scores again with that ugly one-handed push shot. Alyssa Thomas on triple-double watch early on, she's up to 7 points, 5 rebounds and 4 assists. Once again, Indiana sloppy defensively. Mitchell is more interested in complaining to the officials than getting back in transition, and this allows Bertan to take it coast to coast. One thing about Kelsey Mitchell though, is you can always rely on her to redeem herself. When the Fever's offense gets stagnant, she gets the switch on Thomas and creates something out of nothing here off the dribble, shimmy into a scoop layup. Speaking of mismatches, Bree Jones is too big and too strong for Lexi Hall. Boston rotates over and helps down low, and Jones uses her IQ, draws both in, dumps it off to Thomas, and she lays it in. That's 12 points for AT. Indiana get a spark from their most reliable role player. Clark to Boston, gives it up to Lexi. Aaliyah sets the screen for Hull, who comes round inside and drops in a leaner from the top of the paint. And there she is again, Lexi Hull, this time creating. The Sun are so focused on Caitlin Clark coming round the screen for a free ball that they don't pick up Dantas, who intelligently slips to the basket, and that's Dantas up to 8 points on 3 of 3 shooting. Nothing coming easy for Indiana offensively. Mitchell one-on-one with Carrington, blows by the baseline and is able to get it up in and over Jones down low for the tie, and then Indiana take the lead right here. Clark in transition slows it down, waits for Boston to get up the court. Clark throws it in there and Aaliyah does the rest. Indiana lead 36-34 on the road in the playoffs. But not for long, because things started to go south real quick. The Sun set a down screen for Carrington, Kelsey needs to chase over it, instead she goes under the screen, and this allows Carrington to use her momentum to her advantage, burst to the rim, Mayberry finds her, and that's an easy layup. More terrible defense from the Fever. How easy is this? Both Katie Lou and Dantas are focused on Bonner top of the key, so she throws it into Jones for a quick 2. Once again, it's another Indiana mistake. Mayberry top of the key is one-on-one with Clark. She gambles, leans towards the screener, so Mayberry just goes the other way, straight line to the hoop, and scores with the left hand. The Sun are on a roll now. Boston loses control of the ball, that's a turnover, and Carrington throws a touchdown pass right on the money to Marina Mayberry, who composes herself and scores. That's a 9-0 Sun run. Fever needs something and Kelsey Mitchell delivers right on cue. Boston hands it off, screens, Mitchell races from the corner and pulls up from the foul line, and her jumper rims in. Final minute of the quarter, and check out the defense from Bonner. She's at a size disadvantage with Dantas backing her down, but watch how Bonner stands her ground, gets a firm hand on the ball for the rejection, and then again the next play. Caitlin Clark tries to blow by her going right, but look at the length and foot speed of Bonner to stay with her and send the shot out of bounds. 2 massive defensive plays from Bonner, and the first half ends with a Caitlin Clark brick at the buzzer. It's been a terrible shooting night for both Clark and Mitchell, combining for 1 of 11 from 3. Caitlin Clark really struggling early on, no two ways about it. She finished the half with just 3 points on 1 of 9 shooting, was 0 of 6 when guarded by Bonner, who's been the player of the half, dominating on both ends with 16 points leading all scorers. The Sun ended the half with a 12-2 run, but Indiana still hanging in there, only down 8 at halftime. But if there's one thing for sure, is that Christy Sides needed to give her team a serious shake, because this wasn't the same Fever team that ended the season so strong. Well, if you were hoping the Fever would make some defensive adjustments for the second half, you'd be disappointed, because they were somehow even worse defensively. Watch how Marina Mayberry is just allowed to walk freely in the paint. She has all the time in the world to just bank it up over Boston, who lazily puts a hand up to contest. Now it is a good sign for Indiana when we see Clark and Boston linking up though. Boston gets well positioned with Bree Jones, Clark makes the pass, Boston makes the layup. There's nobody in the WNBA that can compete with Boston one-on-one in the low post, so the Fever need to exploit that more. It's not very often in this game we saw effort defensively, but we saw it here from Lexi Hull. Right here she anticipates the pass from Jones to Bonner in the corner, intercepts, keeps possession alive, knows exactly what to do, gets it to Clark, who picks out Kelsey Mitchell in the corner with a beautiful cross-court pass. Mitchell makes the corner free, and maybe now finally the floodgates will open for the Fever from 3-point range, because it's a 5-point game, they're within striking distance. But how easy is this? Kelsey Mitchell's guarding Carrington and there's a gaping hole in the Fever's defense, and Carrington just attacks downhill with very little resistance from Mitchell. She's able to blow by, get to the rim and reverse it in. The help defense from Indiana was non-existent. It's getting painful to watch. I never thought I would get to say this in this video, but finally, Mitchell, isolating with Thomas, has the Sun ball watching. They lose track of CC coming round Boston screen. Caitlin Clark wide open 3 after going 0 for 8, gets her first ever playoff 3 to go, and it's a 6-point game. But there is nothing more deflating when trying to make a comeback in basketball than scoring a 3 on one end and giving it straight back up defensively, and that's exactly what the Fever did here. Same mistakes over and over again. Clark doesn't chase over the down screen, allowing Marina Maybury to launch from deep and sink a triple, and the butterfly effect is real in basketball too, because now that she's made one, it's going to be easier for her to make another because she's in rhythm now. Fever careless with possession, balls loose, bodies hit the floor, Maybury first to react, pull up 3 in transition, she hits it, and it's a 6-point swing, and the Fever are down 12. Finally, we get to see some Clark and Boston pick and roll in half-court sets. Coming round Boston's screen, Clark does well to stall here and explode to the rim. Bonner can't catch her this time, and she scores the easiest point she scored all night. Look at the defensive positioning here at the free throw line, just standing there like wide open doors. Alyssa Thomas effortlessly splits the Free Fever defenders, and Thomas is good enough to drop that off inside. Jones scores the layup, and it's just so easy. Bit better offensively from Indiana here. Lexi handoff to Clark, splits the blitz with a pocket pass to Fag Benley, who finds Boston for a driving layup. But right here, they blitz Clark at half court in the pick and roll. She throws a careless pass to Boston. Jones is on high alert, intercepts, gets it to Thomas, who attacks with purpose and shovels off to Carrington for the layup. Caitlin Clark at fault again. Right here defensively, she's ball watching. Marina Maybury has hit 2 3-pointers in this quarter. Your focus should be solely on her. Face guard her the way teams face guard you. This is schoolboy stuff. No screens, no switching, no miscommunication, just Caitlin Clark falling asleep on defense, Maybury backpedals to the perimeter, and before Caitlin even notices what's happened, Marina Maybury's drilled another trifecta for the Sun. But Clark understands that you gotta get back what you give up. Despite the terrible shooting night, she's still confident enough to drive, push off, create separation for a step back, and right here knocks down just her second 3-pointer of the game. Again though, you're not going to win in the playoffs if you can't play defense. Alyssa Thomas is the inbounder here. She throws it off of Dante's backside, beats everyone to the loose ball, kicks out to Carrington, who rips and goes right by Mitchell closing out, and look how easily she maneuvers through traffic for the strong-handed layup. 15-point game now, it's getting ridiculous. With just over 90 seconds to go in the third, Mitchell quick pull up in the mid-range, then Boster gives the Fever a huge boost, rummaging inside and scoring with the foul and one, chance to make it a 10-point game going into the fourth, but of course she misses the free throw. Going into the fourth quarter, there is reason to have hope because the Fever have done it before. A bunch of times we've seen them play terrible for 3 quarters and all of a sudden they get hot and turn it on. The question is, can they do it now when it matters most? Definitely not when there are 3 Fever players on the weak side and every single one moves towards the ball, leaving not just 1 but 2 Sun players wide open on the right side, allowing Thomas to make the simple pass to Burton for the layup. Connecticut are just having having fun out there. Bonner hands it off to Thomas, gives it right back. Lexi Hall's chasing her all over the shop. Bonner just pops a deep 2 and it's a 15-point game. Mitchell Iverson cuts to get open on the right side, attacks right, hops to the hoop, scores the reverse and draws the foul. It's a 3-point play, she converts, and maybe, just maybe, they can go on a little bit of a run and get back into this game. But what did I say earlier is the single most deflating thing in basketball? You know what's coming. The team defense here is just terrible. They react slowly to the cross screen, then to the ball screen. Mitchell's ball watching leaves Maybury wide open in the right corner. That's easy money, and Connecticut are back up 15. And more of the same stupid stuff. Kelsey Mitchell hasn't learned her lesson. Ball watching again, loses track of Maybury, who this time, feeling herself, jacks up another deep 3 and scores again. The Sun lead by 18 points. And if it ain't already dead, kill it right now. Alyssa Thomas on the drive, head up looking for a pass. Maybury curls from the pin down, Mitchell all over her this time, but it doesn't matter because Maybury flips it up over both Mitchell and Boston, draws the foul and scores. 6 minutes to go and the Sun are up 21 points. There's nothing to talk about. I could waste your time and show you more terrible defense, like right here from Clark, staring into space, isn't looking at the ball, isn't looking at the opponent, gives up a free to Burton, because that play right there sums it up. The Fever get absolutely destroyed in the end, 93-69. Embarrassing performance. Caitlin Clark had one of the worst games of her career, 4 of 17 shooting from the field, 11 points, 8 assists. The Fever went 6 of 28 from 3-point range in the game. Sometimes you have off shooting nights, but defensively there's no excuse. The effort, the schemes, just non-existent. Christy Sides needs to be held accountable. But at the same time, we gotta give credit to the Sun. Maybury had 27 points off the bench. Bonner had 22. Thomas had a triple-double with 12, 10 and 13. The Fever were just completely outplayed and didn't treat this like a playoff game. Now, did the Clark eye poke affect them and her particularly? Who knows? But game 2 in Indianapolis, there is a lot on the line. The Fever need to wake up and win that game, or their playoff run will be over before it even starts. Because if we see more of what we saw in this game tonight, they're going to end up getting swept. Let me know down below in the comments if you would like to see us go live for that game when the Fever play game 2. A lot of people are accusing the channel of being AI, so I want to prove that I'm actually a human. If you've made it up to this point and enjoyed and want to see that, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications and click the big box in the middle of your screen. Check out our last Caitlin Clark video. I bet you'll enjoy that. And on that note, it's DKM signing out. Until next time, and peace.